Yo, what's up, you guys? It's your girl, Treaty LPC. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Self-Aware and F'd Up. I have a very special guest with me again this week, Marcia Blane, a clinical hypnotherapist, as well as a licensed professional counselor in Georgia. And she'll be speaking with me today about narcissism. Please make sure you guys stay tuned to learn all of these different techniques, tips for dealing with and overcoming a relationship with a narcissist. Please stay tuned, guys. Yo, what's up, you guys? It's your girl, Treaty LPC, back for another episode of Self-Aware and F'd Up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for the last couple of weeks. I am so grateful for your attentiveness to the topics that we've been discussing. I have back with me again this week. We told you last week, we promised you part 2, and with no exception, she is here again tonight, the incomparable Marcia Blane. I have her back to talk with us again this week, and we're going to be speaking about something that is a bit of a hot topic right now. It's something that a lot of people are talking about, and you hear it everywhere. Narcissism, gaslighting, you hear all of these terms, but a lot of people are misusing these terms, and they don't really have a true idea of what some of these things mean. So we have the specialist herself back with us tonight, and she's going to be talking with us a little bit about narcissism. So without further ado, go ahead and welcome back to the Self-Aware and F'd Up podcast, Reverend Dr. Marcia Blane. Hey, Marcia, how you doing tonight?
Good. I'm good. What a great introduction. I hope that I deliver. I hope I deliver.
I know you will. I know you will.
And we just go get into it and really dig a little deeper into this narcissism stuff, because everybody is using the term. Want to clear up some myths, want to give some true understanding. Okay. And hopefully people get their breakthrough or break away from a narcissist.
Definitely. You definitely have to break away, because they some tricky little somethings. And so you definitely have to make sure you're on your P's and Q's when it comes to dealing with them. And I know last week you blessed us with talking a lot about childhood trauma. And really, I believe that some chains were broken. I believe it with all of my heart. And I hope that everyone that was able to listen to last week's episode, if you listened to it, we definitely want to hear what you guys thought about it. If you haven't had a chance to listen to it, make sure you go run that back before you listen to this one, because you definitely don't want to miss that. We're going to continue the discussion tonight, and I just want to start us off. Go ahead and just introduce yourself a little bit for those who haven't listened and maybe they're hard-headed and didn't go listen to the last one. Let's go ahead and just introduce yourself, tell them a little bit about you, and then we're going to dive into it.
I'm Marcia Blane. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I am a licensed, certified hypnotherapist. Yes, people do hypnotherapy.
Right, I'm here for it.
Here for it. Because we're getting that breakthrough, right? I have been in counseling, seems like all of my life, but licensed since 2015. Narcissism is dear to me because I hear so many people abusing the term. Helping people break through childhood trauma is huge for me. I'm a mom, I'm a grandmom. First grandkid just graduated from high school. So yes,
congrats.
We on this journey. And so, I'm ready to dig into this topic. Again, hoping that everybody can glean some things to help change their lives as we dip a little bit into the childhood trauma and then move forward into narcissism. We got you on every corner.
Okay. I mean, you know, you're the guru of it all. Like that's not my lane. Narcissism is not my lane. Childhood trauma, I can do CTPSD, definitely work with a lot of people with that. But this narcissism, you can have them. I don't want no parts of them, but I definitely want to educate people about it. So like, do you mind giving us like a brief history of narcissism? Like a lot of people talk about it, but I doubt people really know what it stems from or where it even comes from.
And most people don't. They'll hear bits and pieces, but historically, Greek mythology tells us the story of Narcissus. That Narcissus, when born, he and his twin, beautiful figures, right? The one thing that they was warned about was that Narcissus couldn't go to the water because something would happen once he saw his own beauty. So he did that. Like he had everybody coming for him, men, women, no gender, the whole 9 yards, because he was such a beautiful person. And so everybody wanted him, and he was pushing folks off like they were roaches. Like he was spraying, the Raid can, getting them off of them, right? And so what happened is one day he was so tired of pushing that he ended up in front of a pool of water, and he saw his reflection. And he fell in love with himself, with his looks, and felt like there was no one else that could actually love him like he loved himself. And in that same spot, he died.
Wow.
Because he couldn't pull himself away. And there's a flower, the narcissist flower, that comes up as a beautiful flower representing where he died in that spot. But to fast forward a little away from Greek mythology, 1898 is the first time narcissism was diagnosed as a mental health disorder.
Wow.
Most people didn't know it went all the way back there.
Sure,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, because we live in a world where people think everything is invented today, and it wasn't.
Right.
And so that's what our real truth is. But then as we go a little further, one of the things in doing a lot of research on narcissism is what I found is the characteristic traits of narcissism, narcissistic, we all have. Because there's narcissistic traits and then there's narcissism personality disorder. And I'll explain the difference between the two in just a moment. Okay. But narcissistic traits is where you are self-reliant, kind of your own self-encourager, where you have to kind of build yourself up because you're your only support system. Okay. The narcissism personality takes that, increases, take it to a level of manipulation, thinking that they're the best thing next to sliced bread. Okay. They discard, dismiss, throw away anyone that does not keep them on that pedestal. And so when you think about it, you have to ask yourself the question, why is this coming up now? Why are there so many emphasis on narcissism now? So we'll get into that because it's a plethora of narcissists. And we may not be able to get through the whole list tonight, but it's a whole list of different kind of narcissists. But the one warning I want to say to you all is try to pull away from calling somebody a narcissist because they put themselves first. Putting themselves first is self-preservation, right? A lot of people say, well, if you're not thinking about me, you're not putting me first and you're selfish. Right. And I am, because if I don't put my oxygen mask on first, I'm going to be without air. Right? Exactly. Yeah. So I want to help people kind of pull away from that. We all have a few traits of narcissistic personality, narcissistic traits. The personality disorder, I'm surprised you with what the percentages and the statistics say about it. But go with your next question.
We're going ahead and educate us because I really want to know, because I be struggling sometimes because I definitely am one of those people that's all about self-care. And I'd be like, hey, I've not been accused of being a narcissist before. And I get it. I wear shirts with my picture on it and stuff like that. And people
it's called branding.
I get it, but not everybody sees it that way. It's like, oh, you really into yourself. And it's like, well, if I don't promote me and I don't take care of me, who will? But how would you differentiate between those regular traits and what you see in someone that has a diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder and how that shows up in people's relationships?
So the biggest way is, with narcissists, they're always going to blame other people for their deficit.
Wow.
Right? Okay. They're always going to find ways to manipulate you. When you're good to them and you're keeping them on a pedestal, are they real good with you?
Right.
As long as because you got to remember now, Narcissist lost his life because he thought he was better than anyone else, that he could not love, no one else could come in and love him. So a narcissist will make you feel bad through manipulation, like you let them down, and they're the ones that's actually doing things to you.
Man, okay.
So it's just that easy, that over the top manipulation, the grandiose ideology that they're better than everyone else, they're better than, sliced bread. They become preoccupied with themselves. They believe that they special or unique. I know that my counseling business is called Peculiar One Counseling.
Right.
Because I'm unique in what I do and how I deliver, but I can't possibly believe I'm the best therapist around. Not when there's so many great therapists, right?
Right.
And so that's how that looks. Narcissist requires attention and validation. Here's the thing. They are so low on self-esteem.
Man, talk about it now. Talk about it.
Their self-esteem is very low. And so the reason why they look for individuals that they can manipulate is because they need to find somebody whose self-esteem is lower.
Right.
Who they believe needs them in order for them to feel like they're better. The other key is they don't have any empathy. None.
I can see that. I definitely can see that.
They're unwilling to really identify with someone else's plight. They'll turn it around and make it about them.
Yeah.
You know the people, the ones that always make it about them in every situation. You could be talking about your broke toe. Girl, you know I had a broke toe in 1945.
They don't take it back that far, I hope. But no, I definitely can hear what you're saying. And it definitely brings back people from my past. Specifically, I talked in one of the first episodes of this season about a domestic violence, which was an emotionally abusive relationship where I was isolated. And I talked a lot about that. And this person was a straight narcissist. Like when I tell you my self-esteem was the lowest it has ever been in my life during that relationship, because that person made me feel like I was nothing. They had to make me feel like I was less than just so that they would feel better. Because I had degrees and I had all of this going on, a college education, master's degree, and all of these things. And this person had a GED barely, and they needed to do those things in order to make me feel less than and isolate me. And so it's like, I didn't get it until after I got delivered from that particular relationship. But like, how would you recommend someone that's in a relationship with someone who maybe is exhibiting those traits? Like, how would you recommend them to move through that? Because gaslighting can be very dangerous. And you may want to also speak to gaslighting. I know I'm throwing terms out there like that, but just want to know, how can they navigate that? Because it's a lot more common than people think.
So let me address gaslighting first. I don't know, how many listeners understand that the first time that a movie was out about gaslighting was in, I believe, 1945, 1950, somewhere in there, where they actually had a movie called Gaslighting. And it was a manipulation. It was making someone feel like they were losing their minds, right?
Wow.
Doing different things to make you question your own self and your worth. Well, some of the things to do to address dealing with a narcissist, our truth, run. That's what our truth is. Just run.
Okay.
But beyond running, wanting to make sure that you don't need to prove your conversation with them.
Right. Yeah.
Don't go word for word, because you're not going to change their mind. You know how some people be like, no, you're going to hear me. It's going to be my word. No, because they pull energy from that in order to try to own you.
Right.
Think about it like that. Do you really want to be owned by somebody that can't control themselves?
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to go back into slavery.
Right,
so we don't go with that. No.
And so the other thing is how they verbally abuse, right? They draw you in. Oh, I love you. I was just upset that day. Kind of remnants of domestic violence.
Exactly.
Punch verbally, pull you in, make you feel like it's okay, and then discard you once they got you back in. That's what narcissists do. They literally become obsessed with power. So your biggest defense against a narcissist, make a plan to leave. Don't stand toe-to-toe to try to argue with them. Don't try to prove your value and your worth. Don't try to prove that you love them. You already showed them that you're with them.
Right. Yeah. But that's something that a lot of them like to use in order to manipulate people into staying in relationships. And, some of them will even, even though we know that they're not going to act on those thoughts in most cases, but a lot of them will pull that suicide card too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes,
that to manipulate you. I'm going to kill myself if you don't leave, if you don't stay with me. And so, yeah.
And it's the biggest narcissists, percentage-wise, are mothers.
See, I already knew you was going to go there. Tell me more about that.
46% of 270 people that were surveyed.
Wow. That's crazy.
And part of what was happening, and will probably resonate with a lot of people listening, is mothers would do things like, oh, so that's how you're going to treat me after I, went through 25 hours of labor and pushed you out. And I, wouldn't get my hair done because I wanted to get your hair done, all of those manipulative things. But I guess I'm not a good mother.
Oh,
all of those kind of things. We're finding in this current generation that the toxicity of mothers is coming out, but it comes out through jealousy as well. So manipulation and jealousy.
That's so crazy to me that a mother, and I see it so much, but mothers be in that position where you're jealous of your child. Why wouldn't you want your child to do better or be in a better situation that you were
Because I have not loved myself enough to love my child. And if I'm a narcissist, that means that my child is on the pedestal that I'm no longer on. I need that child off that pedestal.
Wow.
And that's tend to what happened. But then with the children, they get into this thing where I ain't got but one mama. You're right. And she ain't have but one of you. Right? And so when you start looking at those kind of things, all of that manipulation, and then you have people feeling like they, disappointed their mother or didn't meet up to standards. And why can't my mother love me? I'm seeing so many clients in their 30s trying to figure out why my mother didn't love me. Why wasn't I enough? Those are major struggles.
Yeah.
Why wasn't I worth fighting? Well, if mom was manipulating situations so that she could become the victim, right? Then she wasn't concerned about you. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
A lot of times with narcissists, they are the victims.
They are victimizing everybody else, but they make it about them.
And won't speak the truth about it. If you think that you're going to get a narcissist to understand and to confirm their narcissistic traits, think again. It's not going to happen. They will never let you know that they are a narcissist. In fact, most narcissists, when confronted about their narcissistic traits, they're ready to fight.
Sure. I've had to go toe-to-toe with a couple of clients, which is why I don't treat individuals with NPD, because I'm, a little tempered myself. And so I remember one session in particular, my wife was like probably 2 doors over from my office, and all she heard was like, do, 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 do. Like, she was like, I've never heard you get loud with a client, ever. But it's like, you know what? I was so glad when it was like, you know what? We don't want to come back, because it was going to either be I was going to fire y'all because it was part of a couple. And watching how he treated his partner, it was triggering. So I don't deal with them. I'm not going back and forth. Once I see that trait is done, I can't even continue to go down that road with someone once they've shown me who they are. But I am curious to know, why do you think now? Because you hear everywhere, you're narcissist, you're gaslighting, you're narcissist. Why do you think it's so popular in today's society?
I think social media made it popular, right? Because you see all these memes and different things like that. But even with the memes, and sometimes people will have videos, but they're not actually explaining the difference between the traits and the actual personality disorder. So you have individuals going in here reading this. Oh yeah, you ain't had no empathy for me when I want you to go get me something to eat. Oh yeah, you thought about yourself first. You didn't think about me. You got to be a narcissist. Or the big one is therapists who have never seen a partner in therapy telling their partner that they're narcissists.
Wow.
And so you have all of those various scenarios going on. And what we're finding is if people sit back and actually look at themselves, if you decide, you know what, I don't want to go to the grocery store, I want to go get my nails done. Does that make you a narcissist?
It don't make me one, because I'm going to go get mine done tomorrow, probably.
But that's what I'm saying. People will take that and run with it and say, see, you don't even care nothing about me. You wouldn't even go to, instead of saying, Okay, well, after you get your nails done, will you be able to stop? Oh, yeah, I could do that. But it's easier to say, see, that's what I'm saying about you. You're just selfish. You don't think about nobody. And so it just raises all of that information about narcissism.
Yeah.
And so people are running rampant with it. I remember having a client, she came in and it started off as a couple. He abandoned, she came in and she's like, I told you he was a narcissist. I was like, let me do something. Let me send you this narcissistic survey. And I want you to take it.
Okay.
And see. And when it came back and she said, I scored pretty high. I said, yeah. I said, what you couldn't see is you got with a narcissist as a narcissist and he out narcissistic you.
Okay, that's the first time I done seen that happen, but I can definitely believe it's probably pretty common. And so, wow. So she didn't recognize that she was also exhibiting those traits and had those characteristics. Wow.
And once we got into the real conversations behind her manipulation, the why her healing began. Right? Still has some battles with narcissism because still trying to control and manipulate, but she began to actually have a changed narrative.
Okay.
About what she was actually experiencing and what she was giving out. So I wouldn't tell anyone that's not trained to work with a narcissist to try that. I would suggest, asking them if they want to go to therapy, and hopefully you get a therapist that has an understanding about narcissism and can work with someone with narcissistic personality disorder.
Okay.
And that's real. The therapist can't be meek because a narcissist will run over you as a meek therapist. You're going to have a backbone. You're going to have to say what you mean what you say, and stick with it. Because that's what happens. One of the things, and I'm going to run through a couple of types of narcissists, if you don't mind, just to let people, know, that the variety of narcissism, because it's a lot of them. So the first one, of course, we know these two, overt and covert, the loud one, and then the quietly manipulative one. The malignant one, it's all or nothing. They don't care about anything. It's either my way, no way, or you're done. Wow. The cerebral one is the one that feels like they are intellectually higher than everyone else. Okay. And will remind you of their intellectual abilities by using elongated words unnecessarily. Half the time they don't know what they mean. They heard somebody that sounded good and so they use it. The somatic one, those ones that go to the gym and try to make you feel bad because you're not in the gym.
Oh, they buff.
And vulnerable, buff and vulnerable, right? Then the sexual one, the one that always talking about they can do this in the bed and do that in the bed and they can't lick a slick.
Not lick a slick, okay.
They can't do anything, right? Because they're not satisfying. They've probably been around with a lot of people that faked it with them and then didn't give them a call back. But they called them trash for not having their sexual satisfaction. And then, the conversational narcissist is the one that always makes it about them. Always. And when you're dealing with all of them, you have to recognize, who am I in this? Yeah. Am I someone in this position that my esteem and my self-value is low to where I believe that this is acceptable? Am I operating in a place of fear that if this person doesn't want me, no one else will, so I'm just going to stay? Can I not see myself? Are there any trauma bonds that's holding me in this relationship, even though it doesn't feel good?
Right. Can you speak a little bit more to that? Because some people may not necessarily know what a trauma bond is and how that works. And I know people tend to have it. I call it soul ties. I think that's what they call it in the church. But can you speak a little bit more to that?
So soul ties, trauma bonds, what it is when you have experienced levels of trauma. And a lot of times in childhood, there's some trauma. Narcissism in childhood looks like mom yelling at you, not liking you, telling you you're not good enough, but then perpetrating in front of other people, those kind of things. So that's a traumatic bond. You're always constantly running to try to get that validation that never comes, right? And so you're bonded with them. It's like being in handcuffs, just like soul ties. It's like being in handcuffed to somebody that you really want to break away from, but you can't, because you haven't decided or given yourself permission to say, it's okay for me to pull away from this person.
Yeah.
I'm stronger.
Yeah. So how do you do that? Like, how would you encourage like an adult child or a child, or even if you're in a relationship with someone, how would you encourage them to be able to break that bond that they have with their parent or their partner or whomever?
So one of the things I would encourage, of course, is therapy, because therapists are going to help guide you through all of those connections, especially those of us that are trained in trauma, right? We're going to go back and actually find the root cause. I'll give you an example. I had a client earlier in the day that had situations that went on from childhood, and the way that they would speak to others was directly related to that childhood trauma, because their aggressive behavior and tone was, nobody else will ever take advantage of me. No one else will ever disrespect me.
Defensiveness. Okay.
And so when you have that trauma bond and you can't recognize it, which again, find a therapist, one that you can relate to, that is not afraid to go back in the past with you, so that you can, one, free yourself. Once you free yourself and build up your own esteem, build up your own awareness, your own validation and love, then you can go back and say, yeah, I'm not taking that anymore.
Yeah.
But you have to have a plan, because the manipulation is going to come, right? What you mean you're going to leave me, baby? You know I didn't mean it like that.
Right.
You know you're the best thing for me and I'm the best thing for you. All of that kind of stuff is going to come out.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, we're therapists, obviously, and obviously we're going to promote therapy because, it's great and we can help a lot of people, but not everyone buys into therapy. Not everyone is, unfortunately, with the way our healthcare system is set up, not everyone can afford it or has access to it. What would you say to people who don't necessarily have access? What are some things that maybe they could do before they're able to afford a therapy or connect with one to be able to break free of that?
I am a big advocate of writing a love letter to yourself.
That's good.
That's the first homework assignment for all of my clients, because that gives me insight of where your love level is for you. That love letter cannot consist of anybody else but you, not your friends, not significant others, not children, parents, none of that, just you. Most people, it takes them about 3 weeks before I get the first letter, because they honestly dig in and realize, I don't know if I love me. Empowering yourself through that self-love is one step. The next thing is I believe in journaling, because a lot of times when we don't know what to say, sometimes just sitting still with a journal and a pen and just writing until there's nothing else coming out of you. You'll be amazed of how you free yourself from all of those things. The tears are going to flow. The anger is going to come, because your inner part is going to be bringing up so many situations that you may have even forgotten about because you were trying to protect yourself.
Right.
Meditation, prayers, whatever you want to call it. Get you some alone time with your creator, with whatever that looks like for you, so that you can begin to release that through affirmations. Huge proponent of affirmations, along with the love letter, automatically 5 affirmations of things that you recognize in your life that you need to change. If communication is an issue, if self-love is an issue, if validation worth, whatever it is, I usually tell my clients, if you can't think of positive words to say to yourself, the internet got plenty of them. Go out there, find them, recite them, breakfast, lunch, dinner, because what we're doing is we're uprooting all of that negative stuff. The last thing I would always ask anyone to do Ask yourself, why am I responding this way? If you're responding in anger, emotion, whatever it is, why am I responding this way?
Yeah.
That's going to give you a better picture of you. Then that's going to give you the strength to deal with a narcissist or to walk away. But dealing with your own trauma, dealing with the things that has gotten you to that vulnerable state, that's going to be your best out. Whether you have insurance or not, everyone, in my opinion, needs to start practicing those things because it's actually going to free them.
Yeah. Wow, you definitely gave some great tips, and I'm going to steal that first one and start making my clients write their love letter because I really like it, and I think I probably, for some of my clients, I might not get it for 6 weeks, but I'm going to get it eventually. But I really like that tool. And a lot of those other tools that you mentioned, I love journaling, meditating. Those things are really, really important parts of my daily routine. For those of you guys who aren't following Marcia at this time, every single morning she wakes up and she does a 5-minute meditation. And I feel that like sometimes she just be talking directly to me. But it's so empowering and so necessary. So I really love what you do with that and really being able to kind of wake up. You always beat me up, even though I think we get up around the same time, or at least start or work around the same time. But like, I was like, I don't know how you up this early doing this because I'm not even sane at this point. But
well, you know, when you walk with purpose and that's what you're supposed to do, it's so natural. Like I do some for nighttime and I do them every morning unless I'm not feeling well. And then it's like, go out there, man. It's hundreds of them out there. Just grab them.
Yeah.
So yeah, but thank you for watching and supporting that. That's huge.
Definitely. Yeah, what's your handle on that? I think it's most motivational Marcia B, but I don't like.
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna try to streamline them. I need to do better with this whole branding and marketing stuff. But on Instagram, I have two: Motivation with Marcia B or Peculiar One Counseling. On YouTube, it's Authentically Peculiar with Marcia. If you go to YouTube, you don't have to scroll through all the social media stuff. All of the videos are right there. Authentically Peculiar with Marcia B. If you jump on the website, marciablane.com, there is a free download, Unsticking the Trauma. Go out there and grab it. That'll help kickstart some of those thoughts on just releasing that trauma bond.
Right. Awesome. So we're going to include that link in the description. So if you're listening and you haven't looked at the actual description of the website, we'll include that in there so you guys can get that free information to help you guys get started on this journey that you're on. We really appreciate you guys listening, but I did want to kind of pass it back to you to see if there's anything else you didn't get to share about narcissism, because it's just so much. And I know it's a lot to kind of compact into a 30-minute episode or so, but I just want to make sure we hit on most of those major things because I really want to be able to help people really understand this and break free from people who are dealing with partners who are a bit narcissistic. Maybe just have narcissistic traits, whatever.
Even with the traits, the first thing you have to understand is you can't fix anybody except for yourself. That's your obligation, is to work on you. You can't save anybody except for yourself.
Yeah.
Establishing those boundaries, sharing, you can't talk to me like this, I'm not going to take this, and things of that nature, and standing firm on that. When fear tries to creep up and make you feel like you don't have any value, go ahead and shut that fear down. Yeah. My two favorite words to shut down any negative conversation within my head, because we all have them, is no and stop. I'm going to say no. And that usually cuts it off. But if it tries to get a little bit more aggressive, stop. We're not doing that. That is actually how I work through my own, because we're all humans. So the negative stuff is going to try to come in. Encourage yourself. Find individuals that you can trust with who you are to have real conversations. Not just the folks that's trying to tell you what to do, because half the time they ain't living their own stuff right. And trying to tell you what to do. So find someone that you can actually trust to have a conversation, a real conversation with, and then kind of go from there. Those are the things that I hope that you all walk away with. The hope that you know that you have value, you are empowered, to be your absolute best. Everything that you need to be your greatest self, it's already in you. So hold on to that and run with it. Don't let nobody take that from you.
Okay. All right. Well, what a word. See, you stay dropping jewels. See, I'm aspired to be on that level of jewel dropping. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm working on it. But I really appreciate you taking time out of your week again to be able to speak with the listeners and really being able to bless them. Like, you shared so many great things during the last episode and so many things during this episode that I think is really going to help some people get free and really be able to move forward in terms of like whether they pursue therapy or whether they take some of those tips until they're ready to pursue therapy. Our main goal is just to make people understand that, we can be very self-aware. You may not even recognize it, but sometimes we do recognize it and we still stay stuck because we don't feel strong enough. We don't feel like we're good enough, because that's a narcissist's job. They keep us feeling stuck. They make us feel worthless so that we don't go anywhere. But you all can break free. You all can use these tips that she shared with us. So again, thank you so much. You want to plug anything else you got coming up, conferences, what you got going on that you want the people to know about?
Oh my goodness. You can always go to marciablane.com, grab the journal, the Peculiar One journal, life-changing. Go through that. It's going to help you grab hold of some self-love and happiness. Dropping a book in August called Making Progress in the Process to Fulfill Your Purpose.
Okay.
Going through the editing stage right now. Got a conference coming up in October. Got to get back with you on the dates, but I believe it's October the 22nd. Okay. But I'll drop that information. It's a lot going on. Thanks to Tree. The Peculiar Talk podcast is going to be going live in a few weeks, working on some things. So Tree has pushed me. You need people in your life that push you to be your best self. Because again, everything in you that you need to be great, you already got it. You came here with it. Use that. Yeah. So thank you, Tree. I love, love, love this podcast. I love your giving back. And I hope that people continue to glean from it, grow from it, and be their absolute best, because you are dropping it. You are doing it. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Y'all know I'm shy, so I don't really like that type of attention. But I do appreciate it. And thank you so much. Like I said, you got a lot going on, definitely. So I'll make sure we have all the links and everything so that everybody can make sure that they connect with you. And especially make sure they get those morning motivational meditations, because they definitely have blessed my life so much. So thank you guys for tuning in again. Marcia, I'm assuming you're going to come back in August when you drop this book so we can go ahead and get that out there. So I'll be looking for that. But thank you guys again for tuning in to another episode of Self-Aware and Effed Up. My name is Trudy LPC. You can follow me on all social media platforms under the handle Trudy LPC, or visit the Unique Destiny website. That's uniquedestiny.org. And make sure that you guys are connected with me so you can figure out what's going on, and make sure you keep yourself posted on what else we're going to be dropping. We have an amazing episode coming out next week with my brother K. Noel Jordan. He is going to be blessing the spot. He is the relentless motivator, and I can't wait for you guys to be able to be blessed by him as well. As I told you guys, we have an amazing season, so continue to stay tuned. Take care of yourselves. Be safe, be well, and continue to take care of who you are. Peace and love, guys. Take care.